There's a mad slasher loose in New York City, and he's cutting up a bunch of strippers in Fear City, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on At the Movies, the movie review program. I'm Gene Siskel, film critic at the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. In addition to Fear City, we'll also be reviewing Torchlight, a movie about cocaine addiction starring Pamela Sue Martin, and we'll devote our X-ray segment to the historic re-release of Gone with the Wind in home video cassette form. But first, Gene starts with the story of a brontosaurus named Baby.
Baby, The Secret of the Lost Legend, that's the full title. It's certainly a cute enough idea for a movie. Instead of a King Kong ripoff with a bunch of white explorers finding a giant ape in the jungle, this time they find a giant dinosaur, a brontosaurus. Actually, three of them, a mommy, a daddy, and a little baby brontosaurus. But it's that kind of movie. And in a pitch for today's young moviegoers, the explorers are a yuppie husband and wife, William Catt and Sean Young.
I see.
It's the female.
How do you know?
George, it's a hatchling. It is. It really is.
Take pictures.
We're looking at 150 million years. My God.
You realize you're going to be the most famous scientist in the world?
Now, there's some evil explorers in this movie, too, and they steal one of the dinosaurs, knock it out with drugs, only to have the good couple and some African friends try to free the tied-up animal. Now, right there with that scene, you can see where Baby went wrong as a movie and why it's so disappointing. Instead of giving us lots of scenes with the couple and the baby dinosaur, let's say, back in their hometown, or giving us a film where meeting the dinosaur profoundly affects these young explorers' lives, Baby turns into a simple chase picture, as you just saw, with good explorers and good natives fighting bad explorers and bad natives. But we want something special with these dinosaurs. And this movie, except for making convincing models of the dinosaurs, that was done very well, but it does absolutely nothing with the models. The only comic bit is when the baby dinosaur sneaks into the explorer's tent and winds up with a pair of men's jockey shorts on his head. Not funny, not a good movie.
I agree with you, Gene. I think this movie came down to the case of E.T.-itis.
Right.
I think they were trying to make this into a E.T. clone. And I'll never forget a movie called The Lost World,
Right.
where the people are up on top of this plateau down in South America, and suddenly they see prehistoric creatures. It was a moment with a real sense of wonder. This is a miracle. This is a real strange event. And here, the moment you see the dinosaurs, they're plugged into this absolutely assembly line plot.
If they're going to rip off E.T., which is okay, then that's why I say take the dinosaur back to their hometown and have some fun with that. Rip off King Kong. But I don't know what they've done here. They take a Smokey and the Bandit, basically, as the back half of this movie. I mean, let's get the dinosaurs out of town.
With all of the evil mercenaries and so forth. And another thing, you might say, well, maybe the movie would be good for kids, but how are kids going to relate to the fact the dinosaur's father is killed, its mother is tied up on a raft and tranquilized, and it's chased all over the jungle? This is not a real relaxing movie for kids.
Like Bambi times 3.
Next at the movie, Tom Berenger is an ex-prize fighter who manages go-go girls. The movie is named Fear City, and it's another one of those grimy, sleazy, mad slasher movies about macho pipsqueaks in New York City. The only difference is this movie has a little more style than most of the other slashers. It has a surprisingly good cast. The movie stars Tom Berenger as an ex-prize fighter who once killed a man in the ring, so he's retired from fighting and gone to work who represents go-go girls who work in the strip joint of Times Square. But then he has a flashback to his days in the ring after somebody starts killing his boys, and you see it in this scene.
It's me, Nicky. Load from downtown. They just found Cynthia's body outside. Hey, Maddie.
When his girls start being murdered, Berenger wants to handle things himself and avenge the victims, but the homicide division has other plans, and the chief homicide cop is played by Billy D. Williams, who suspects that the Go-Go murders are part of a larger war between the factions of the New York Mafia.
Well, this is what we got. He's a male Caucasian. He used some kind of a razor. He appears to be familiar with martial arts.
Other than that, we got a blank wall. I'm running the MO over the computers through the Washington Organized Crime Unit. As soon as I get them in, I'll bring it over to you. Now, doesn't look too good.
What if you were a mobster? You wanted to hurt somebody, how would you do it?
With a gun.
Why?
It's fast, it's clean, and it's definite.
Why don't he hit Rossi instead of his girl?
Maybe they don't want to hit Russ. Maybe they want to scare Russ.
Mm-mm. If he was a target, he'd be dead. Our assumption has always been that the syndicate was moving against him. What if that assumption was wrong?
Do you know what that means?
A city full of suspects.
I always love those moments like that. A city full of suspects. You can see the screenwriter writing that great pulp line, you know. It takes a good actor to sell a line like that. Fear City resembles a lot of the 1940s gangster movies in one way. It has a lot of good supporting performances, not only from Billy D. Williams, but also Michael Gazzo plays a strip club owner who's always worried about going broke. Melanie Griffith plays a dancer who's hooked on drugs. And Rosanna Brasi has a nice understated scene as a mafia godfather. Everything adds up to a movie that's hard to categorize. Fear City has some good performances. It has some exciting scenes. It has a nice feel for the city at night. But that's where its ambition seems to end. It doesn't seem to want to be anything more than that. It could have been a really good movie, but instead it goes for the fleas, the compromise, those lousy scenes of the go-go girls being attacked and so forth.
Right.
Just misses what could have been a lot better.
Now,
movie.
we talked about Baby ripping off E.T. or trying and failing to. This film really rips off the whole film work of Martin Scorsese. Think about it. The killer, and I'm not giving away that much, turns out to be a guy who is a Travis Bickle clone, but doesn't have the style, doesn't have the same kind of diary. He has diaries, but they're not as beautiful as Travis's. Then you have the scene in the church. The driver is captured here in the film. Anything, it's one lone idiotic killer.
Well, you're right about the comparison. I think that anyone who saw me on a double bill with Taxi Driver would learn a lot about why Scorsese is the greatest director we have right now. But even on a lower level, this movie could have been a lot better. It could have been what we used to call a grade B movie. And instead, they fall just short, despite the fact that they filled it up with so many of those good supporting performances.
And Catch at the Movie is a film about how the cocaine high life can bring you down, way down.
They may not know yet. I know who you are.
Like a little play about how dangerous and fast. This is a story rails back, wealthy construction company owner and his pretty wife Lily. At an art gallery opening, they meet a guy dressed like Al Pacino and Scarface, and sure enough, when they go to his house for a party, he turns them both on to freebasing cocaine for the very first time.
You want to know if you want some?
I guess so.
Well, then exhale.
I'm fine.
You ready, Jake? The pipe is just a little smooth the second half. It's no big deal, Jake. Go for it. Just those little crystals glow. Okay, now exhale. Slowly. Easy, easy. Go easily. Just hold on to that for a while.
Now, Jake becomes hooked on the stuff, of course, and in short order, he's a quivering mess, ruining his business and his marriage.
What is it?
I can't sleep anymore.
Well, come back to bed. I'll rub your back.
It's worse than that, Lily.
Well, tell me. Let me help you. Come.
I should be the one that's taking care of you.
We take care of other.
Sometimes I just come in here and I smoke and I smoke until it's all gone.
Please.
I love you, Lily. I love you so much.
Now, I'm sure that the process that Torchlight depicts, recreational use of cocaine leading to addiction, does occur, of course, and from all news reports does occur quite often, and often with tragic results. But the way that this story is told as a movie is so hyped up and glamorous, it's hard to take it seriously. The drug dealer obviously is a very bad guy. You know, if there was any more Vaseline in the city of Los Angeles, over his face. Come on, give us a break. Less slick for this guy would have been a little bit more believable and maybe a little more applicable to real life. So we never really believed the relationship between Jake and the Pamela Sue Martin character, because Jake is such an aggressive macho jerk to begin with, and she seems like such a nice person we can't believe when they hit it off right at the top of the film. And so, frankly, we watched Torchlight for two reasons. First, to see Pamela Sue Martin, who's very pretty, and second, out of some kind of perverse curiosity about this process called freebasing, which we've read about but never seen in a film before, and they show us it in a lot of detail that frankly surprised me, and that is not much to recommend a movie that wants to be, I'm sure, anti-drug use, because it glamorizes, frankly, drug use.
I agree with most of what you said about the movie. I'd like to make another point, and that is this movie, which is obviously anti-drug, seems to be almost despairing. At the end of the movie, the guy is still hooked on drugs. He's looking in through a window like
which I called when I saw it 15 minutes before it happened.
And you said, that's
the last shot. I knew it was going to be the last shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would have said in this movie is, if we're going to show destruction and if we're going to show addiction, let's show the possibility of recovery. Now, briefly in this movie, he does go into a clinic, and then he comes out again, and he uses again immediately. He doesn't make use of any kind of self-help group or anonymous group of any sort. They talk about the U-shaped bottom, and then if you don't die, you start coming back up again. This movie only seems to know about the way down. Piece of art, maybe it could work as a piece of propaganda if the people who do go to see it could in the movie if they have a problem. But that's missing in this movie.
Well, that's because what they're really trying to do is have it both ways. They're trying to take a trick and make a glamorous film that glamorizes the use of it. I mean, they would say, we can't have those kinds of scenes in the picture. Who wants to hear a doctor talking? That's not going to get tickets. So, more scenes of the guy freebasing cocaine. I mean, that's what the movie is really about. There's only one thing I liked in the whole picture, and you'd never guess it in a million years.
Okay, tell me.
I liked her name, Lily. I think it's a nice name.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years. Next at the movies, now available in your local cassette store.
Excuse me, the delinquent is called a fight again. Fiddly dee, don't you men ever think about anything? You go. Where should I go? What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
The Take Gone with the Wind. And that's a great line.
And here's what I noticed this time. He reads it not like a great line. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. He rolls right over it. His character doesn't know it's a great line, and a lesser actor would have read it as if it were a great line.
Claimed it, right?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
You're disqualified as a lesser actor.
Thank
For
you.
years and years, there was one movie the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer said it would never, ever show on television. And that movie was, of course, Gone with the Wind, a legendary classic that is still one of the all-time box office champions. But now, Gone with the Wind has finally been taken down off its pedestal. It's been playing on television for several years now on CBS. It's going to continue to play on television. But now it has also taken its place, along with all the other merely mortal movies, on the shelves of your local video cassette store, where a 2-volume tape of this movie is now for sale for $90, and I suppose you can rent it too. And the question is, how does Gone with the Wind play on